So then we are back with more understanding from the time of the second tabernacle services as we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per Yirmiyahu the prophet. Then we find the 61st chapter, a layer of understanding related with the completion of the spring feast, the mentioning of the autumn feast known as vengeance, and then the time of the restoration of the holy cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. So then, understandably, there is not much going on in our economy. However, the economy of China, lots of situations going on. Then the Prime Minister and also the ministers of the Chinese government, they are working very diligently. And some of these leaders, for instance, they are around the world, in India, Pakistan, closing deals and making sure then the system is then obviously strengthened by these people. And then the danger of our own country of not understanding the virtual money system yet coming linked up with the Chinese. So then thus far there is not much going on of tracking. We don't find any information regarding then packages being then tracked for the purposes of taxes. We find then Bitcoin system becoming a whole lot more important, and then the government can't control. This was then explained quite some time ago. There is coming a system where then the government does not have any control over it. However, there is a way of tracking packages coming, so then taxation can be then gathered. Thus far, we don't find much information regarding it. So there are lots of situations going on around the world, problems in Europe, problems in America, and then the Messiah has stated very plainly in the future. He saw then from the Holy of Holies ships and shipments around the world going many directions, and then he was indicating from the Holy of Holies the freighters were in charge. These obviously takes a bit of understanding from tabernacling, so then you understand what he was talking. The freighters had the motion of the moment regarding then the authority given for the purposes of transportation, no longer governments, because there is a direct system coming from China where then when you read the deals they are doing is direct trade. Direct trade means a country or then a group of people, they can use their own economical system directly, investments in China, and then they don't use anymore our own monetary system. So then indicating there is a new financial system coming, but we are not being prepared. So then when it comes, we'll be late. Because during this time, while our system is yet active, we should be transitioning ourselves into this new system. And starts then with what the Messiah has said in the future, and the freighters of the earth. So then when we understand of freighters, you understand of containers, you understand of parcels, you understand of packages. Then lining up the freighters of our country with taxation. So then we are in line with the system. Though then the Chinese later in the future, shortly 36, 35 months, already maybe around 32 months. When it comes, then at least the government has a way of receiving taxes. Because thus far the government must ask itself, can they control the Bitcoin system? They can't. It is a system outside of their own realm of policies and procedures. They don't have any contact with the government and with the printing out of money. And Bitcoin system is then compared with gold. There is the gold standard with it. So it's very valid, it's very solid, where then indicates what kind of a system is coming in the future. Thus, at some point when our monetary system then crashes or then won't be anymore active, and then the Chinese, they launch their own. But then not only is then the direct trade, but then there is a system, a financial system, not linked up with any government, but their own. And then investments of products, investments on products, as a means of backing up this new financial system. But our country is oblivious of this fact. You talk with these people sometimes, they don't know what they are talking about. Some of these people are so ridiculous. There was a gentleman last night speaking of what he thought of the Bitcoin system, all because the economy is so uncertain. They're not going to this new thing. It is absolutely contrary. Because the system is so disorganized, people lost the trust in the banking system. They understand there is a new system coming, and it is then the virtual money system. And our country is not being prepared. However, when you begin studying then around the world what is China is doing, they are linking up every country of those with direct system, direct investment. At the moment our monetary system then is removed from the world, then they implemented theirs. So then, understandably, the Bitcoin system is then the system used in the future similarly. But then you have the investments on products from China, where you are earning the same time, you are investing at the same time, and you are purchasing at the same time. There is absolutely no way of placing under the control. And thus far you don't find any information. If you read the politics side, they are not speaking of it. If you then read, then trade, they are not speaking of it. In fact, our government then is becoming defensive. Rather than being forward with it, then they kind of being on defense, evaluating the situation. What evaluating the situation? There is no more time. We should be tracking those packages. Every package must be tracked. Though they can't control the system, they can control what comes out of the system. When people spend their money, then they should be taxed. So then we are in line then what Messiah said in the future, in the freighters of the earth, obviously. So then when we hear the government trying to come up with ideas of coming out of this debt situation, there is no way of doing it. Absolutely no way of doing it. And in fact, last time they went to China in March, some of those countries, they came together and they came out with a plan. Thus far it's not working. Absolutely not working. So then you find, for instance, the Ford Motor Company, they're going to close in Australia. Roughly a couple more years and they are gone. You know why? Because the existing government went beyond its means. They are spending more than they should have. They are making huge projections of the future. They are in debt. They want to order 100 aircrafts, another 12 submarines to join up us in North America. Try to come up with more military bases around the world. It's not working. We must be honest, it's not working. But then obviously with so much burden placed in the Australian government, the private companies say, oh, screw you, forget it, they are going to close. Because we are not understanding the new system. It's coming a system that does not use regular banking procedures, banking mixed up with treasury and then printing money. Those eras are gone. We are in the new times. And these obviously in the future leads obviously of the trade of the end related with the stick of authority of the Ishmaelites. That's what it leads. But then what we've learned during the time of the seed of 1,000 years, from 1009 to 2009, the middlemen and banks and then their own kind of investments and markets going up and down, those times are gone. We must face it, gone, 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 gone. The only situation what we can do is then tracking packages. Those are extremely important. Because when the Chinese system then becomes available via downloading, then the virtual money system is backed up by investments. Not only you have a gold standard such as then the bit system, but then you have the investments with it at the same time. Makes you absolutely solidly positioned in the system, and then always earning, always buying, always investing. The other systems then becomes subsystem or subsystems. This was explained before. And the more you read, for instance, China news, you find China making a deal with this country, China making deal with South America, China making deal then with the Soviets, China then making deals with the Asian market. They are then backing up the raw materials. Then CMC, the largest of China, went to Africa. What can we understand of the system coming? Virtual money system backed up by investments. And we are not doing our homework. We should be tracking packages. We can't take over the system, but we can become participants in it. So then the Messiah said very precisely, then when he was in the Holy of Holies, he saw precisely then ships everywhere and the freighters of the earth. The Messiah was observing the power because they were speaking of the Gentile level. When you hear Daniel, for instance, speaking of Gentile level, he was then representing a country of the most important of the time, where the authority was coming from, authority of doing, authority of making, authority of producing. When the Messiah was in the Holy of Holies, he saw these as freighters doing the work. And at some point, governments must take orders from the freighters. But at the moment, we are finding our monetary system is failing. We are not then charging taxes as we should have. And if you watch China, they are everywhere around the world. Direct system, funding of direct FDI. This is what it means. But then the government has the Ozarks over there. So they are projecting destruction and chaos for the future. Because it's a situation, if they build underground a facility only for times of chaos. This place over there in the Ozarks, they have a city underground. So this government thought they were building the holy city of their own. 12 gates, 12 cities underground. So they had a plan of making this place over there, you know what, it's going to become a place for bats. The freighters of our country won't let this government go over there in the Ozarks. What are they going to order from down there? The virtual money market is already set in place. When the time comes, you download in your computer, you are in the system. We think it's a big deal, all because if America goes down, then the whole world goes down. Absolutely not. Our system is based from a Babylonian system from a time of 1,000 years of deceit, but the new system is direct trade. It's via online. That's the reason when Daniel said, and knowledge would increase. From a spokesperson regarding trade, high knowledge in computer, trade. But then the people are no longer subjected to these printing out more money festival and then policies of banking. It's a brand new system. And the Bitcoin was generated in 08, 09. So then we would understand a sample of what the new system then is. Thus far, we are not doing our homework, we are not tracking packages, and we think we can deal with this huge problem. We can't be dealing with it anymore. We thought we were making partnerships with the Australians over there so far away in the South Pacific. There is a base over there of ours, but then Ford Motor Company is coming out of trade over there. They are closing their factories. You know how many thousands of jobs are going to be then lacking? So what do we expect? Are we going to take the mines by force? We can't do this. Direct trade system. Our government is not yet positioned. They think this Bitcoin system is a playground for kids. This is what they think of it. The problem is, precisely this system is coming similarly in the future. Thus then, when the Messiah said, and the freighters of the earth, he saw then, the freighters were in charge.